Hi everyone, it's Sonia here. So I wanted to give you an update on what's been going on here in Montreal, which is basically that there has been a lot of unrest, but it has moved from protests against pandemic restrictions to protests against what's going on with Israel and Palestine. There have been protests going on all week. It's kind of really escalated at times. The riot squads were called in. So I want to let you know what's been going on. Before I start, I just want to say thanks for liking the video and for leaving me a comment. Thank you for your support on Patreon, which keeps my channel going. And I haven't mentioned this in a while, but I want to let you know I'm still using the C60 EVO. If you haven't heard of this, it's fullerene in virgin olive oil. This is a kind of carbon molecule which acts as a super antioxidant, which is powerfully anti-inflammatory and which has been extremely helpful for me for all my sleep problems. It's like I'm no longer a person who struggles with sleep, and I credit this. So if you're interested, please check out the link below. If you order through the link, you'll get a discount. And if you do use it, please leave me a comment. Let me know how it went for you. So, okay, last week, I went to a protest on Saturday, and you may remember I got there and I looked around and I kind of went, where's the protest? And I noticed the anti-police state protest wasn't very big, but I noticed there was a group of people protesting for the situation in Palestine. That day, there were huge protests here in Montreal, downtown. Riot squads were called in, tear gas was deployed. It got really heated. You know, it's a touchy subject, so I feel kind of awkward talking about this whole Israel-Palestine thing because, okay, maybe I should clear the air first, all right? I'm Jewish, but that doesn't mean that I condone everything that Israel does. Actually, far from it. So I feel kind of awkward talking about this because, yes, I have Jewish ancestry, but I really object to the way Israel's treating the Palestinians. Although I know it's complicated, but let's just say that's sort of where I'm coming from. So I would have liked to have been at the other protests. I would have been protesting against what Israel's been doing. And I would have reported on it for you. So the next day, I'm at home and I hear all this noise coming from outside. And I was wondering, what's going on? So I went and looked on my balcony and I saw all these people running in the street. And I realized there must have been some kind of a protest. And I see the riot police coming in, and these protesters are running absolutely everywhere. And then I saw the police just sort of single out one guy and kind of body check him, and I thought, wow, whatever's going on, it's getting really heated. So I went out in the street and I saw it was clearly about the Israel-Palestine issue, lots of people walking with Palestinian flags. I stopped a young girl and asked her what was happening, and this is what she told me. So what was it that happened today?
Okay, so basically there was a pro-Israel protest, and then the Palestinians came. We were each in a different park, facing each other. The Israeli protesters started throwing water bottles at us.
Okay.
So we got angry, and then the police was protecting the Israelis. And then they threw tear gas at us, and they dispersed us. So we started running around downtown.
Okay.
And then, as you can see, the police is going with cars. They have the SWAT team. They're throwing tear gas. We were peacefully walking, just with the flags, making some noise to show our side of the story, our support to the Palestinians. And we've been running since, she's saying, like 2 p.m. And they're chasing us down, all of downtown. And we haven't broken anything, we didn't do anything illegal, we're just protesting our freedom, it's our freedom of speech, that's it. So I'm an 18-year-old female, and I'm a Canadian, and I was walking with the flag. I wasn't with a group at that point, and I had 3 police officers with their SWAT defense thing, and they attacked me, and 3 of them hit me at the same time. And I told them, I'm Canadian, I have the right to walk downtown. And they still continued to hit me until I had to run away, and we had other protesters come and defend me.
After that, I went downtown, and they were still protesting downtown, but the police had kind of left them alone at that point. Well, it turns out that wasn't the end of it. The protests have continued basically all week, mostly in front of the Israeli embassy in Westmount. There are the people who support Palestine. There are Jews who are against what Israel is doing. And then there are people who are supporting Israel's side of the story. And there have been some clashes between the sides. So seeing as this was going on in my hometown, I went to check out what exactly was going on. I mean, we all know that Hamas has sent rockets into Israel. Israel has this Iron Dome thing that intercepts most of these rockets. We already know that Israel has been retaliating, bombing the Gaza Strip, bombing Palestine. We know that a lot of people have been injured, mostly on the Palestinian side. We know that there have been about 200 deaths at this time, mostly on the Palestinian side. So we know this, but what started this whole thing? This started about a week ago with an attack at the Al-Aqsa mosque in Jerusalem. It was, from what I understand, I'm not an expert here, but from what I understand, it was the fourth weekend of Ramadan, and the Palestinians, or the Muslims, were in this mosque praying. Now, outside the mosque was a group of Palestinians who were protesting the evictions that are taking place in the Sheikh Jarrah district. This is a neighborhood where Palestinians are living, but it's occupied by Israel. I'm going to tell you a bit more about Sheikh Jarrah, but let's just go a little bit into what happened at the mosque. The Al-Aqsa Mosque is part of the Temple Mount, which includes religious holy sites of both Jews and Muslims. And there were also some Jews that were protesting as well, because they want to celebrate Jerusalem Day, and the Israeli government isn't letting them go into this area where the Muslims are, and they don't want to just celebrate at the Western Wall. They want full access. That's what they're saying. There started a conflict outside, and then the Israeli forces, they locked the mosque and they threw tear gas in there. The Israelis were trying to empty the mosque. Monday was the day of big storming after 3 days of continuous attacks on the worshippers. 3,000 soldiers entered the mosque, the first time such a huge number to do so since the uprising in 2000. Many people were wounded as soldiers aimed deliberately at their heads, faces, and eyes. I saw people who lost their eyes. Everyone was a target, and the intention was clearly to injure people. The Israeli police closed the doors of the Qibli Mosque inside the Al-Aqsa compound with chains, despite the presence of worshippers, including children, inside alleged Atik. The Israelis locked the worshippers inside Al-Aqsa Mosque as they tried to escape the attack. They broke the windows of the mosque, through which they fired stun grenades and tear gas bombs at those sheltering there. So this is the mosque, and there was some footage from inside where they were showing how they were throwing in these this tear gas and hitting it with stun grenades. Israeli religious nationalists tried to march into the mosque to mark Jerusalem Day. So that's what really kicked this off. So you have the Muslims inside praying. You have some outside protesting the occupation of Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, or the evictions rather. You have the Israeli police intervening and then blocking off the mosque, firing tear gas and all this inside. And you have Israeli nationalists trying to get into the mosque to mark Jerusalem Day. So they really went all out attacking this mosque. So here's a Jewish guy. I'm just going to let you see what he said.
Our own police, the Israeli police, has sadly denied us to go up there, and instead we go to the Western Wall. But that is not how we understand full redemption. We want to go up to our Temple Mount. We want equal rights there. The Israeli Supreme Court has decided that we have a right to pray there. We have a right to go there, and it's the heart of Judaism. And this.
So that's the issue. It's Jerusalem Day coming up, and the Jews want to get in there. The Muslims are already in there worshiping, and apparently the Israeli police clearly took the side of, the Jews.
This moment is bittersweet. On the one hand, we celebrate Jerusalem Day. On the other hand, we realize that Jerusalem is not fully reunited, and we are denied rights, and instead the jihad rules this place.
Okay, so that's why I wanted to show you this so you could hear what he said, that instead the jihad rules this place. But seriously, I would say that Israel is just as much guilty of jihad. I mean, obviously they're not Muslims, but here is Palestine in 1947. This is when they started with Jewish settlements. Partition Plan 1947. These lands are now Israel. And here we are now. There's not much left for Palestine. These areas here, the Jews, the Israelis are still settling them. This stuff is still going on. Bombing inside Al-Aqsa mosque, people suffocating inside the mosque. I would say it's as much a jihad on the Israelis' part. They're taking over the territory, and they're both fighting a war over territory that actually everyone has been fighting over since forever, basically. I mean, since the beginning, at least, of Judeo-Christian history. This is the same land that the Crusaders from Europe came to try to take in the Middle Ages, and at this point, the struggle, the battle continues. They both believe that they're in a holy war. I mean, they both believe that this is their territory that should be given to them by God. They feel that God is on their side. It's a jihad on both sides. So I found it kind of ironic that the Israeli, referred to it as a jihad, because as far as I can tell, like, the Israelis are doing the exact same thing. Let's talk a little bit about the issue with Sheik Jarrah. So there's a video here. You can check it out if you want more information. It's more of the same. It's more of this. And, there are the Geneva Conventions. There is international law. Israel, as an occupying country, is not supposed to make settlements. I don't understand why they're able to do this. I mean, I understand that some land was given to the Jews. There was this declaration. There was a partition. They created the nation of Israel. But how did we get from this? Because, people say Israel has a right to exist. Okay, it exists here since 1947. Here's Israel existing. How does Israel go from this to this? I mean, even as a Jew, I can't understand how, what gives them the right and why the international community allows this. I don't get it. I don't get it. They seem to have one set of laws for everyone else and one set of laws for Israel. This is just plain old colonization. And it's a jihad on the part of the Israelis, like I said. So this Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, here is this like highly contested quarter. Everybody wants a piece of this in Old Jerusalem. It's the oldest quarter. You got the Al-Aqsa, which is really actually like a kind of compound from what I understand here. Muslim quarter, Christian quarter, Armenian quarter, and a Jewish quarter. I mean, I guess that's what it was a long time ago anyway. And here's Sheikh Jarrah. So apparently what happened with this neighborhood was way back in the day when the land was split up. Some Palestinians who were living somewhere around here were allowed to settle in this area, which was apparently occupied by Jordan or owned by Jordan at the time or something like that. Look, I'm not an expert, but I know that they came in as refugees, and the Israeli law says that they have no right of claim to the land. If it was owned by the Jews before 1948, the Jews are allowed to take those homes over. As in, if your ancestors at some point purportedly owned a house, then refugees came and lived in it for 70 years, you could then show up and be like, hey, actually, it's my house. I don't know how that works. That's a very rudimentary explanation, but it's something like that. There's a lot better explanation of it here. The area at the center of the current Palestinian-Israeli conflict. This is what it's really about. I mean, what happened at the mosque was sort of an explosion of several factors coming together from what I can see. There's a protest outside because of this. There's the Israelis, the Jews that want to get into this area. And I think there's just like this really bad vibes on the part of Israel towards the Palestinians that are worshiping in their mosque. I mean, what gives the Israelis the right to lock them in there and bomb them with tear gas and bullets and stuff like that, rubber bullets or whatever kind of bullets they were? I don't know what gives them the right. And that's what set it off. So then Hamas retaliated with rockets, a few. And we all know how that turns out every time they do that. Basically, they get the shit kicked out of them. Their kids get killed. But I guess that they just feel like they can't tolerate the Israelis treating them the way they do. I mean, that's what it looks like to me. So in this article, they give a better explanation, better than what I could give you, about the significance of the Sheikh Jarrah neighborhood, and they explain exactly why dozens of Palestinian families in there are at risk of losing their homes. But seriously, I mean, like I said, all these white areas with these settlements, I mean, most of this, it's because the Israelis came in and kicked out the Palestinians. So, you know, whatever reasons they have here for saying, oh, you know, the Palestinians don't have rights to these houses, well, according to their law, but their law obviously favors them occupying the lands and kicking out Palestinians. But it's so extreme. Like every time I look at this map, it's just like, wow, here's a partitioned country. Here's where we are now. Something's not right. I don't know if this will ever be solved. But anyway, I'm not here to solve the problems of the Middle East. I just wanted to give you a lowdown on what sparked this whole thing. And I don't have the solution. I'm just letting you know this is what it is. And here in Montreal, people have pretty strong feelings about it. We obviously have a big Palestinian community. And a lot of the other people here who are not Palestinians support Palestine in the sense that they really feel that Israel needs to back off. And if that's going to happen, it's not going to come from pressure from the protests. It's going to be from our leaders and from the UN saying, you know, enough is enough. Where's the accountability for Israel? How do they do these things? And they just get away with it. If any other country did this, they'd probably be accused of war crimes. So they're going to have to find a way to live together. And my mind is just still so blown by this map. They've basically destroyed Palestine. I mean, no wonder those people are so angry. No wonder they want to defend themselves. They don't even care if they die anymore at this point. Because look what's happened. It's like they've been murdered off, you know? And their land has all been taken. It's exactly the same thing as what happened here with the natives or wherever. This is colonization. It's so crazy that in this day and age where people are they're so woke about colonization and what's been done in the past in North America, for example. How could anyone who speaks out against that then be like, yeah, it's okay what Israel's doing? Because wake up, it's exactly the same thing. So I hope and pray that this will stop, that there'll be a ceasefire. It's just awful. Anyway, that's it. I wanted to give you an update. I hope the information is helpful for you and that you found that interesting. Thanks again for liking the video and for leaving me a comment and for your support on Patreon. Please check out the link for the C60 EVO, which has been super helpful to me. And thanks for listening to me, and I'll see you next time.